close. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we are back for another episode of the Double Switch podcast. Baseball is, it's rough, dude. Baseball is just a rough sport to follow sometimes, because if I would have told you that we went down to Atlanta and we split with the Atlanta Braves, just like last year, we'd all be pumped. You know, you and I would both be pumped. All the Phillies fans would be pumped. But we just saw them go down there and split a series with Atlanta. And I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. Out of all the gut-punching, tough losses, yesterday has to rank towards the top because the stakes are so high and it feels completely like we beat ourselves. We had our foot on the throats of an Atlanta offense that was just clueless for 2 games, had nothing going for it. And what do? Let them right back into it. We give them life. And if you give a team like that oxygen, they don't need much. You know, if you give them a little oxygen, they can just ignite, because that's how explosive of an offense that is. I'm going to get to you in a sec. I could talk for 15 minutes about this, but Wheeler on the hill, our guy, he's throwing a gem, and they have Max Fried, who has blisters and can't throw anything besides a curveball for a strike, and they still found a way to lose that game. Johnny, I am not happy at all. How are you doing?
Not well. Definitely unwell. I think I texted you last night, and I was not that mad. And then I woke up this morning and was absolutely fuming. That sucked. I mean, you said it real well when you opened up. I mean, 2 weeks ago, if you told me the scenario, I would be like, oh, cool, we split in Atlanta. But when you look at that game, holy shit, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, because that's such a winnable game. It's such a winnable game, and the Braves don't give you a lot of those. So, it might come back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah. Could you think of a worst way to split a series than what we just did? Like, that is probably
yes.
the worst.
Yeah, no hitter. Spencer Strider.
Yeah, but then that would have been in game 1. We would have won game 2. And then
we
come back to Philly
the whole
winning
killing
a
the
game.
Momentum thing.
Yeah, no, all right, first off, I don't even know the last time we recorded. Congrats to everybody. We beat the Marlins. Marlins probably aren't even a playoff team.
They don't deserve to be there.
They can't hit for shit, and I think the Cubbies probably should have made it. But whatever. We beat the Marlins, and game 1, we beat Spencer Strider with Ranger on the hill. Topper just pulled out all the cards and kind of manipulated this bullpen. But the sad thing is, Johnny, that I can't get an ounce of joy out of any of that right now, because I'm so obsessed with what went wrong yesterday. So let's just get into that right away. This Braves offense in game 1 was lifeless. And then Zach Wheeler, who's quickly becoming one of the best playoff pitchers we've ever seen. He's up there with Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee already, and it's only his second postseason. He looks unhittable for 6 strong innings. You know, it's probably the best he's ever seen. He's best he's ever looked. And at that point, you texted me and you were like, "How you feeling?" And at that point, I kind of thought that the game was over. As terrible as that sounds, between the bullpen and Wheeler looking the way he did. But, I felt really good. And then, we kind of get to the 6th inning here. And up until the 6th inning, the story was really just the base runners we left on base. When you have Max Fried just laboring through those innings like he did, he had 90 pitches through 3 innings. You need more than 3-4 runs. We should have had probably 7 or 8 runs. We left 10 runners on base in the first 4 innings. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable from a team that has such high aspirations as we do. But the real frustration kind of started in the 6th inning where Wheeler's rolling and Albies gets the. Let me stop that. I think I have the timer on. Albies gets the hit, and Acuna's rounding the bases, and Acuna's really fast. We all know that. We get the ball in, and Trea Turner, man, I think this is where it started. I really do. He botches a ball. It was the second error of the night, and like botching the ball it's like the secondary story, because what you did was you let the Braves get on the board for the first time in the series.
Yep.
And once you remind that offense what they can do, that they can score runs and they're not completely broken, then the fans start getting into it. And we love as Phillies fans, we love to bash Atlanta for, it's so quiet. Those fans love their baseball team, and if you give them a reason to cheer, they're going to do it. And the 6th inning is when you kind of felt the shift. And it was an error. It's an error that caused it. It wasn't Wheeler. It wasn't even like they didn't earn it. We gave them a run there. So that's where it started. And then I'm not even sure how to do this episode, because I want you to get a word in on kind of what I'm saying instead of me just talk the whole time,
Well, you're right. Trea Turner opened the floodgates, essentially. You can look at anything in this game. I thought about it basically all day at work today. I could not get it out of my head. And you can talk about the Zach Wheeler staying in. You can talk about Rob Thompson's decision to put in certain guys. But that was an execution issue with that. Like, the pitchers didn't execute. Trea Turner, 2 errors. One, Zach Wheeler ended up striking everyone out, but he opened up the floodgates physically. Not even metaphorically. Like, he literally opened up the fans' belief in the Braves, and they got loud. And it was miserable.
Yeah, well said. That's when you kind of felt it. And I know there's a lot of defenders who are like, he saved the game yesterday. I expect greatness all around. It's the playoffs. It's a really good team. And if you really have this group of guys who want to win the World Series, you execute much more often than he's been doing this postseason. 2 errors in a game. He's actually lucky the first error didn't turn into anything, because it was a basic ground ball that you and I could have fielded. That wasn't a hard play. He just booted it. And the second time, I think, was just him rushing, him not being sharp. And that's when it started. But Wheeler, he gets out of it. They're on the board. So that's the one run that, kind of comes back to hurt us, because we lose by 1 run. 7th inning, Wheeler goes back out there. I thought his night was over. I know that so Olsen was coming up, and Olsen's like he's a premier power hitter in the game. I thought we were going to Alvarado there. And there's – it's funny, because it's last World Series, we yanked Zach Wheeler and we brought in Alvarado for the lefty, and it didn't work. And this time we let Zach Wheeler in to face the lefty, and it didn't work. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. It's baseball. But Olsen gets on, and then the Braves fans can feel it. The Braves players can feel it. Sure. And Travis d'Arnaud, out of all people, ends up 2-run bomb there, and that's when I started to worry. Really worry about not just this game, but the shift in the series. That was when it, Anything to add on that?
Oh, sorry, I don't know if you're in between a sentence, but
we're telling a story here.
I know. You gotta keep me engaged over here. I'm just so angry in my head right now.
It's been debated whether he should have gone out for that inning. I don't have any major issues with Wheeler going out there with the way he looked and with who he is. Yeah. No major issues there. That's just that's baseball, in a nutshell. That stuff happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We can go back and forth and forever about, was it the right decision? Should he have faced Olsen? But he did. And we found the result, and he looked really good. So how can you really fault Topper? Maybe he was losing a little bit of stuff in the previous inning, but I can't fault Hopper when Zach Wheeler had no hit stuff. I mean, he was dominant.
Yeah, I won't go as far to say that that's what I think. I keep like, do you hear that? Do you hear that timer that keeps going off?
Yeah, it's weird.
I think I keep pressing dismiss and it's just setting it for 5 more minutes, so it keeps coming back. It's gonna come back one more time and then I'll stop it. I don't know if I necessarily would have sent Wheeler out. That's I know hindsight's 2020, but just the way I was feeling in the moment, like I felt like it was probably time for Alvarado. Where would you have gone there?
At what point?
7th inning. Olsen leading off.
Yeah, I was probably going to stick with Wheeler. I was going to give Wheeler the whole 7th inning personally. I think Olsen was the bat. That was the obstacle. And then I thought he had a nice matchup against the next two. And it's unfortunate that the momentum got started with Matt Olson, because I think if Matt Olson grounds out right there, I think it's a very, very different story. I don't think the Braves fans get into it as much as they do.
Yeah, I kind of like a metaphor for kind of the last 3 or 4 innings of this game. Like the Braves were kind of like a freight train getting going, and like after the Trea Turner era, they kind of inched forward, and Wheeler gives up the bomb, and then it's moving a little bit, and then by the time we get to the 8th inning, this train's full on moving. We're still up 1. It doesn't feel like it at the time. It felt like we were tied, and like the game is inching away from us. Topper goes to a familiar arm, Jeff Hoffman, who people are going to criticize this move as well. I don't have much beef with this move. The one thing that you can kind of say about this moment was it was the biggest moment of the game, probably. This inning was super important. And we go to Jeff Hoffman for the top of the lineup. And right out of the gate, he hits Acuna, which was incredibly frustrating because Acuna is the best base stealer in baseball. As soon as that happened, I was instantly like, that is the one guy you don't want to let on base.
Yeah,
you just let the best base stealer in baseball on base, and he's the tying run. So that was already rough. But then, he gets Albies to ground out. Acuna's in scoring position, and then Austin Riley comes up, and there's been a lot of analysis on this, so I don't deserve any of the credit. I didn't do any research on this, but after hearing like what people were kind of saying, Riley has been beat a lot by the high fastball throughout the series. It looks like he's had issue with like the velocity we've been throwing at him. I didn't notice it as like this series has gone on, but looking back at it, it makes sense. And Hoffman battles, and then eventually he goes to the slider. It's not his best slider. It catches enough of the zone where Riley's kind of able to get his barrel on it. When he hit it, besides the crowd reaction, I thought it was like a pop fly, but the crowd kind of knew it was out, or just the worst thing that could possibly happens. And after that happened, I knew it was over. The train was moving too fast to stop at that point,
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to make a point here just because I've listened to WIP this morning. I've been on Twitter. Everyone is it's like Jeff Hoffman should never throw a slider in that situation. Blah, blah, blah. All these little freaking things. Bryce Harper shouldn't have been aggressively running on a ball where he wanted to tie the game in an important situation.
We'll get to that.
But we're all pretending like the Atlanta Braves are just some team. I mean, we know they have that same wow, like dog factor that the Phillies do. We both have it. Like the Phillies and the Braves both have that. Yeah, we could score 5 runs in 1 inning whenever the hell we want, and the train will get moving. I'm getting real tired of people just not respecting that. After game 1, everyone's like, it's over. We have to respect that this team is inevitable, kind of like how the Phillies are. These are 2 of the best teams I've watched in a long time, and I feel like we got to start respecting that.
Yeah, it's rough to kind of see the fan base like point fingers here. The only people who, it's not like, obviously baseball you can't blame on one guy, but I keep coming back to the Trea Turner era. That's the one thing where I was like, dude, Like, really? And then just like, I kind of think the offense as a whole is to blame because, I mean, if you tell your pitching, if I tell you the pitching staff gives up 4 runs, this is the last one. Let me get rid of it.
Your laptop is something, man.
Okay. All right, I think we're good.
Thank goodness. I was worried.
Okay. If I told you that we gave up 4 runs against the Braves and we got Max Fried out in the 3rd inning, you'd assume that we won that game. The pitching, like we lost the game because kind of the home runs, but the pitching did enough to win that game. And it's up to the offense to kind of capitalize on their lack of depth there. And it's definitely up to Trea Turner to execute there and keep that run on third base. And that's the 2 things where I can kind of point to and say, yeah, let's point fingers and let's kind of like, you can kind of be mad about that. But as for the Topper pulling the strings that he did, 95% of the time, those strings have worked this season. The thought process was fine. I think that sending Wheeler out was fine. I think Alvarado was definitely the guy there. And I think Hoffman was the guy. And there's a strong argument that, the moment was kind of too big because Jeff Hoffman's like, I don't think he's ever been in the playoffs, let alone a moment like that on the road against this offense.
No, but he's shown a clutch gene. I mean, you can't blame Jeff nor Topper. I mean, it just didn't work out. And likely if he didn't hit Acuna, I don't know if me and you would be having this type of conversation right now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people go this route too, and I'm like 50-50 on whether this would have turned out well. I just feel like something about Sir Anthony's kind of built for that moment. I know he hasn't been good, and I know it probably, like, you don't make that call there, but it would, like, I feel like Sir Anthony's probably a bit more hardened for that moment. And if Topper went to that move, like, it would have been like 50-50. But I have seen his name thrown out a lot as a possible alternative, which is what people are looking for right now. Like, they want to figure out what would have worked, and they want to come up with that idea. It's just what us fans do. Like, we decipher like what happened and how to repair it. Sir Anthony there would have been interesting. I don't know if it would have worked any better, but it would have been interesting.
Yeah. You know who I wanted there? I think I told you already.
I
personally wanted to see Kerkering there. I personally thought that he is our arm that has the least exposure to the Braves lineup, and I think it would have been a surprise.
You see, that's the thing about that moment. Like, there's a lot of ways you could go. We had guys for that spot, but ultimately Hoffman's earned it. He's pitched the best, and that's why he was there. And baseball,
I don't knock it.
Nobody's perfect. Yeah, nobody's perfect, but it just sucked that it unfolded like that. And then the 9th inning, this is stupid even talking about this. Like, Bryce Harper, he's not a good base runner. We've been there. No point in saying that. But in that moment, you're facing Iglesias, who's a very good closer. Cassie sent a ball to the wall, and it's a really tough play. And if that ball drops, you want to score, because if he does make that catch, what are you tagging up, going to second, and then Bryson Stott with 2 outs? Odds aren't very good there. If somehow Bryson Stott gets a hit, then you're looking at a bottom of the lineup that struggled so far this series. I like the risk, and I'm not super upset about Bryce doing that there. It's just it was a culmination of so many frustrating things that I just think people couldn't have handled it. Like, people couldn't handle that there in that moment. But the thought process was
I know exactly why people are mad about it, because we just watched that 8th inning go down, and then like you see one bad thing happen after that, and you're already triggered, and you're like, like, what the fuck is Bryce Harper like doing? Like that matters. Like, that play doesn't usually get made. It usually doesn't, and I think probably like 9 out of 10 times that ball probably hits off the wall and Bryce Harper scores, and everyone's like, oh, Bryce Harper, you're a hero. So I'm not bashing the guy. It was unfortunate luck. Did he take the bat out of JT's hands, was it going to be?
I thought it was Bryson Stott.
Oh, it was Bryson Stott. Yes. So yeah, he took the bat out of Stott's hand, which sucks, and we lost an extra out that we could have used. But oh well, we're on to
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, in that moment, it's he catches it and like I think it's worth the risk. Like if he drops that, you want that run to score. As far as I'm concerned, him being on third base with like I just I'd rather him score there and take the risk. But that's just me, and I know some people just they don't have an appetite for that, and they think fundamental baseball is like completely necessary 90% of the time. But besides the point, um, yeah, series tied 1-1 in a brutally painful way. And let's kind of talk big picture here because
Why don't we? It's not enough of that happening right now.
we're coming back to Philly, and it's a little different than last year because morale's slightly lower. But I mean, you look at the teams and how they're currently positioned. Aaron Nola, he keeps finding himself in these games where he has to literally pitch to keep his Phillies career alive. Like that's what he's been doing. He ends up in these clinch games all the time.
I love it.
And like I feel completely fine about Aaron Nola right now. It's I'm not super worried about that. They have I don't even know I don't think they even know. If I had to guess right now, I think it's Bryce Elder, who
Who are they?
like
All right, timeout. Who are they
yeah.
weighing between? Because there's been a thing that they're not set on
It's
Bryce
not. It's
Elder.
not more. It's not Morton. I've seen Morton. It's not going to be
Well,
Morton. I think it's
he was
Elder.
hurt.
Yeah, Smith Shawver or a bullpen game. So I
Okay.
think it's Elder. I think it's Elder with a quick hook.
I
But
think it's
even then,
Elder with the Ranger leash.
like how many pitchers do you think can come here in October and dominate us? Like the list is short, and it's like who did it last year? Christian Javier is like the only one. Do we really think Bryce Elder is going to come here with this fan base who's pissed? Like this fan base is pissed, and they're going to make the Braves night hell, and it's going to be incredibly rough for an opposing player to even like hear himself think when they come here on Wednesday. We have Aaron Nola, who's our guy, who like he's our guy. He's just our guy, and Bryce Elder, who they obviously don't have much confidence in, and that's a big swing there. If we can win tomorrow, it's okay. We can kind of quickly put Monday night behind us, and up 2-1. That's huge.
That is the plan. Obviously, take care of business. Game 3. Respond. Punch back, please. And I think you're right. I think it's not going to be like the Marlins series at the bank. It's going up a notch because we took that personally. That hurt. That stung. Fans aren't forgetting it. The team's not forgetting it. I would expect the team to respond and the fans to absolutely get inside Bryce Elder and just tear him apart mentally. I think it's going to be a tough night if it's him.
Yeah, it's fortunate because I mean you have Bryce Elder who's he can't be that old, and then you have Smith Shawver who's a rookie. Um, avoiding Charlie Morton here, the veteran, it's big, and we really kind of need to capitalize on it because Strider game 4, and then Max Fried, who I don't know like what's going on with him, but he's got game 5. This is the game that we have to win. We have to win it, and the unfortunate thing about that is they probably know that, and I'm just really hoping that both the team and the ballpark don't come out tight, knowing kind of what's at stake, because this is a series like swinging game.
Yep. And I think to your point, it's up to the team. I mean, they have to respond early. You cannot play from behind against this team, especially not after game 2. Someone I think going to have to be Schwarber, who's been a bit quiet. He's going to have a soft toss and righty, no matter who's up there. It's his time. We need a Schwarber game, and we need a Schwarber early in the game. So we need to respond early so that the fans never even think about getting tight.
Yeah, that's pretty much a story. And there's a couple of things that I kind of want to hit on that make this even more intriguing. I've seen just so many like comparisons, like NLCS last year, we lose game 2, come back, win game 3. The Braves last year, and then we have this whole story, and for the past decade of playoff baseball, even the previous regime kind of we have a lot of track record of us coming back in this game 3, but the difference here is this Braves team might be the best out of all those teams. The Braves team might be the best, and they've seen it before. They've seen Citizens Bank Park, so it's not like last year where they came here and they were like, what the hell is this? They know what to expect this time, which is going to be a big factor. It's something that we can kind of ambush teams with. The Marlins obviously were not prepared for it. The Padres last year were not prepared for it, but the Braves have seen it. So that's just another factor on top of it. And, go ahead. Back to you.
You're right. Those external factors are not as strong as they were in 2022. What we've all known that has to be stronger in 2023 is our execution and our offense. We can't skip a beat for the rest of the series. We can't do that leave runners on base shit. We're playing the Atlanta Braves. I mean, this is the best offense I've ever seen since I've been alive.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is I was trying to remember what series it was, but so far this series feels a lot more like 2011 NLDS instead of 2022 NLDS. And
all right, shut up over there, Josh.
That's am I wrong?
What are you doing to me now?
It's not set in stone. We still have to play the rest of the series, but it's hard not to see the similarities though, and it's gonna be it's really gonna show what this team's made of these next 2 days.
Yep. It's a comparison that I wish wasn't kind of true, but I hope the boys defy that and leave that comparison in the dust.
Yeah, me too. And with that being said, that's kind of all I got. So you got anything else?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Don't stop believing in the Philadelphia Phillies. They still got it. They're going to punch back. Game 3 is ours, but this series is going to Game 5. That was kind of loaded, but
man, yeah. How am I now? I gotta follow that up with how do you feel about us going back to Atlanta for a Game 5? You okay with that?
I think we're going.
Yeah, Wheeler.
I think 3's ours, 4's theirs, and 5 to be determined.
Wait, Wheeler wouldn't pitch Game 5 or 4. Wheeler's got Game 5. Wait, yep. Rangers got Game 4. Okay. All right. I don't know. All right.
The series has just begun, people. Don't get all gloom and doom. We don't need Negadelphia right now. We need to lift the boys up and get back to winning. This team's capable of it.
All right. You're convincing me. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, you see my name tag. I'm a huge believer in the Phils.
All right. Let's do this, Phillies. We're here for you. And if they manage to topple this Braves team after what just happened, I have full faith that there's nothing that can stop them. That's about where I'm at with them. So
you're not wrong.
Got anything else?
No, sir.
With that being said, that should do it for this episode. Like all of you guys, we will be watching closely these 2 nights, and we will be praying for the good vibes to kind of infiltrate this Phil's locker room and just get to these pitchers who are just not ready for this moment. Bryce Elder, AJ Smith-Shawver. Take care of business. The bank's got your back, and we will be back. Man, this is crazy, but we'll be back after we know kind of where we're at, We'll be back either the season's going to be over or we're going to be dealing with the
No, we're coming back on after Game 3, folks. Don't let him deceive you.
Get Game 3 tomorrow? Yeah.
Come on, this is the best NLDS of our lifetime. Yes, we're getting on the podcast after Game 3, regardless.
We will talk to you guys soon. Moral of the story. But yeah, also if you are into the Sixers, Eagles, like always. Go check out Pick Swap Media. I know the Eagles are kind of picking up here, and the Sixers are almost back. So, Phils, Sixers, Eagles, good time for the Philadelphia sports fans. So, yep, we'll be back to talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for listening.
Go Phils.